such an asshole.
Hello, children. We have a request. I think I did one of these before, but well, I'll quote it. Hello, Cappy. Vince, your brain injured vet in the field here again. Wanted to donate to the bailout fund. Business is good, so here's some change. From Plebe Vince, what are your thoughts on economist Henry George single tax? I remember going through this a while ago and having to do the research. And I'm like, why do I have a headache already? Why am I pissed off? And so I downloaded a bunch of videos, YouTube videos, like little what is the single value or the single tax? And it's Georgism is what it is. And then I was acutely reminded why I hated this, because like the two most popular or front and center explanations by economists immediately never get to the point. Like, just tell me what it is, man. Just tell me what it is. And the first dopey looking professoriate, bald beard, I make up for my hair because I ain't got end up here. Fat, standard economist looking guy starts talking about Leviticus. And this land is your land. This land is our land. And like, you can't control air. It's like, well, yeah, you can, because the kind of land is kind of fine. And it's slowly coming back to me. And about 5 minutes, I just had a headache because he wasn't getting to it. And it was all philosophy and touchy-feely and kumbaya. Then there was another one that just was practically rank Marxist. And the reason I say it was rank Marxist is because they basically said, well, if you got rid of private ownership, it would solve all the problems. And Henry George was going to do it. It would have solved poverty, but it didn't work. It's like, how do you know it would have solved poverty? But his ideas weren't enacted, so he didn't solve poverty. It's like, yeah, motherfucker. You know, I'm the world's greatest economist because I don't deal with these little theories and all this other shit. People are lazy motherfuckers, and people screw like rabbits without protection. That's the number one cause of poverty. Having children you can't afford and lazy motherfuckers. There, solved your poverty problem. Hey, you want to know how to cure poverty? Here, I got something that's better than the single-use tax or the single tax. All guys get vasectomies. And if a girl really, really wants to get pregnant, well, then the guy goes to the deposit bank or you have it extracted. What's the word? Not efframated. What's the word? They have their sperm liberated from their sac. So there, I solved poverty. You can all thank me. Somebody name a school after me. And was it difficult? So, and I'm not going to read Henry George's book. So I figured, okay, I'm not going to get it out of these dopes on the internet explaining it. So I just went online and I found it. The more official term is Georgism. So let's talk about Georgism a little bit. And I'm going to tell you, it's not that it wouldn't work. It's just like, okay, dude, did you think about this? Fine. And the other thing is like these naive leftists, some of them are not so naive. And Henry George was a leftist where it's like, and that way, if we just tweak this here and move on, then humanity will eliminate poverty, and the single man, the regular guy, will have a shot. It's like, hey, did you know the single guy, your average guy in the street, is a piece of shit douchebag who like totally screw over his brother if it got him free money? You know, people are lazy motherfuckers, especially now. Like they make it seem like the rich people are bad. And the masses of commoners are just these great, moral, noble people. It's like, look, there's good and bad in all groups, but everybody's pretty much a douchebag. All right? Which is why the more money you give to the government, the more the douchebags are going to have control of the money, and they're going to piss it away and bail themselves out of their stupid mistakes. And this idealism, this naivete, this belief in the inherent good of humanity, that's why socialism fails. Like if humans were inherently good, well, we just work really hard and well, I'll only take what I need. Bullshit. I want a hot wife with big tits, nice car. Fuck off. So we'll read through it. And they all have noble goals. And I understand the idea he was going to go for, and we're going to focus on Georgism, like with what its main goal is. And I'm like, okay, but when the corporations just do that, that's what I thought. And then you can throw away his book. Georgism, also in modern times, geoism, is known historically as a single tax movement, is an economic ideology. It's not ideology, it's just an idea. holding that while people should own the value they produce themselves, the economic rent derived from land, including from all natural resources and the commons, this would be like air, waterways, water, oceans, shipping lines, things like that, should belong equally to all members of society. Developed from the writings of American economist and social reformer Henry George, the Georgist paradigm seeks solutions to this Georgist idea. Just say idea. To social and ecological problems based on principles of land rights and public finance, which attempt to integrate economic efficiency with social justice. Georgism is concerned with the distribution of economic rent caused by natural monopolies, pollution, and control of commons, including title ownership, blah, 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 blah. Main choice is tax assess on land value. I'm just trying to get to the nuts and bolts. The more you have to, here, let me explain capitalism. Let everybody keep as much shit as they possibly can, and let's maybe pay for some roads and some cops and a judicial system, maybe, and a military. All right, good. Here's 98% of your check. There's capitalism. Was that confusing? Did it take paragraphs upon paragraphs to explain that to you? You didn't work. Sucks to be you. There, capitalism, version 2.0. Oh, are you guys colluding and creating a monopoly? Here comes the military. Hey, look at all these assets the government has. Let's give it back to the people. We'll liquidate. Hey, guess what, everybody? We don't have to pay taxes. Yeah, we just confiscated from that evil monopoly that was colluding and doing illegal stuff. Just keeping it fair, keeping the level playing field fair for everybody. All right, now we got all this money. Let's build a nice military. Ooh, nuclear weapons. And that would be if Cappy was around in 1890. The main Georgist policy recommendation is a tax assessed on land value. Georgists argue that revenues from a land value tax can be used to reduce and eliminate existing taxes such as income, trade, or purchases sales tax that are unfair and inefficient. Some Georgists also advocate the return of the surplus public revenue people by means of a basic income or citizens dividend. Okay, so let me see if I can't find it. Go to the main tenets. Oh, sorry. And I'll translate into English and give you the short version. George did not like the fact that part of the profits and sales generated from companies and landowners came from land. And he argued that was a universal resource and we all lived on land. And okay, fine. Forget there's finite land that's divisible and air and water. But okay, fine. Let's just go with that. And he said that you really shouldn't own land, or if you do own land, you have the private rights to use that land, you would have to pay a tax or rent it essentially from the government. So in a certain sense, the government would own all the land. The people would own all the land. And based on how valuable that land was, you would pay a price or a tax or rent to the government. And that would then replace sales, labor, gas, whatever, all the other bevy of consumer taxes and which lessens the purchasing power of your average man. He was concerned about the average man. Fuck the entrepreneurs. Fuck those guys, right? The ones that create everything and innovate everything and employ everyone and create multi-trillion-dollar industries and employ hundreds of thousands of. We don't want those guys. Fuck them. Let's not champion them. We got to champion Schmo McSchmo, born from James Schmo and Joe Schmo. What do? They do Schmo things. They taught their children Schmo shit, and the children aren't going to amount to shit. He's the hero. That's the unsung hero of America, Joe Schmo, who sits there picking his nose and picking his ass. Yeah, we got to again, forget. We don't want to hear about Elon Musk. We need Joe Schmo with his fucking sociology degree. Anyway, back in the day when Americans worked, and this is when Henry George was alive, he was saying, like, look, all right, the common man works very hard. There was no welfare state at this point either. And he's entitled to all of his labor, all of it, right? He shouldn't then have to forfeit part of his ownership in the communal land to the benefit of the capitalist who's then employing him and not get some kind of dividend. So what we could do is, all right, we're going to tax the communal land since it technically shouldn't be owned by anybody. And that will save Joe Schmo his income tax, his sales tax, or whatever taxes it comes with either producing or consuming, allowing him or her to keep all of the proceeds from their labor, which again, I'm not against. I would love everyone to keep all that, but you got to pay for taxes somehow. And so in such short-sightedness, it's just like, oh, well, what we'll do is we'll tax people, not necessarily the landowners, but the people using the lands, companies, landlords, things like that. And then that would go to the community. We free up. We don't free up. We eliminate income taxes, sales tax, and things like that. Okay, good. Here's my question. So I run the company. I don't own the land. I got my factory. I make widgets, fizzy widgets, the best fizzy widgets in America in 1890. Now I got to pay this land tax. What if I just want to increase my prices? See, a thing leftists don't get about prices, but you couldn't. You couldn't. It's like, well, then, if you increase you're just passing on the cost. Like, yeah, I know. Yeah. And so now it's officially in a price. It's not called a tax. I've now transferred the tax to the consumers, and Joe Schmo over there, fine. He made $100 that week, but I increased my price to $9 per fizzy widget. So I'm getting it back. It's the same argument with corporate taxes. Corporations don't pay taxes. People do. Consumers do. Oh, did my taxes go up another 5%? I guess we're increasing prices by 5%. And the reason left says you can't do that because we're going to eat into your profits. You should share your corporate profits. And you could argue that happens to a certain extent, but there's also the whole idea of the cost of capital and starting a business, incentivizing businesses to not just begin, but to expand. And this is something that it's the chicken before the egg. You got to go back a long time ago to like what prompted people to start this company in the first place. Now usually there's an entrepreneur who wants to like start the company and make money for him or herself, and that's fine. But if they got a cost of capital, interest rates, there's also equity investors. They're going to require a certain rate of return on capital. They got to meet these benchmarks. And if you keep jacking up whatever, the corporate tax rate or the land use tax rate, it doesn't matter. It's a tax that this company still has to pay, whether they own the land or not. Right? This lowers the return on investment for private equity investors. I shouldn't say that private equity because that's a different meaning. Equity investors, regular investors. So now a fizzy widget factory that was going to provide me a 9% rate of return if I was an equity investor. So fizzy widget entrepreneur, he has a fizzy widget shed. He makes really good fizzy. Well, if we could expand it and increase and build upon this capital or this land rather, and we build a factory here and improve the land, we can make a lot more fizzy widgets. And what I'm willing to, we're going to borrow a little bit of money, but we're looking for equity investors. And here's our pro forma. We expect to make about this much. Now, as an investor, or let's put it this way, all investors are going to look at that and say, oh, you're going to pay 9%, huh? Like I throw in 100,000, you think your profits, and then my $100,000 will earn me a certain dividend. And that's going to be 9%. Let's just say it's 9%. But you come in, we're jacking up the land tax or jacking up the corporate tax or whatever. The evil, remember when corporations were evil before they totally hoodwinked you leftists and became so woke? And now you're like, oh my God, Target's amazing. Now all of a sudden, you are starting to deter. It depends on the size of your economy, billions, hundreds of billions in some cases, investors as that rate of return goes down because the investors have other investments, including overseas. Maybe they'd say it's not worth the risk to invest in this fizzy, which for only a 7%, 9%, if you could guarantee me 9%, I'd invest. Whoa, 7%, hang on now. Because we had to pay the land tax or corporate taxes went up 50% because evil corporations. Right. So not only is there a problem now with we just pass on that cost to the consumers, which completely negates the whole point of Georgism, you're also going to be deterring investment. Where people are like, whoa, that ROI is going down, and you're going to attract fewer and fewer investors to create factories, businesses, which would improve the land, which would then improve your land values, which would increase tax revenues. You essentially drive away capital. Now, here's the other problem. And Henry George didn't know this. Henry George had no idea that 1 in every 2 Americans was going to be an effing parasite, going to be dependent on a government check. Right? He assumed, and you can hear it, and I'll read this here. And let me read the whole thing so you can appreciate what Henry George is saying. The tax upon land values is therefore the most just and equal of all taxes. It falls only upon those who receive from society a particular valuable benefit, and upon them in proportion to the benefit they receive. He's talking about the people who own the land or own the rights to the land and produce from the land. It is the taking by the community for the use of the community of that value, which is the creation of the community. Again, I'm just going to give him the argument that land should be communal. I'm just going to just fine. It is the application of the common property to common uses. When all rent is taken by taxation for the needs of the community, then will the equality ordained by nature be attained. And this is where it's the, really, is nature ordaining the equilibrium now? Okay. Well, man. No citizen will have an advantage over any other citizen. So you can see how idealistic he was. Save as is given by his industry, skill, and intelligence, and each will obtain what he fairly earns. So that sentence is why no modern day leftists or socialists would like Henry George, because he admits there's this human quality aspect. How hard do you work? How smart do you work? How industrious are you? Right. And this is where Georgism would fail. By today's, maybe back in that day, it might have been okay. Maybe you could have sold me on it. Like, we just tax land to make things a lot easier. Fine. It's like Hong Kong. We got 99-year leases. And some people have pointed out this is kind of what Singapore does. I'd have to look into that system a little bit more. You don't have me unsold on it. Okay. It's where all of a sudden half your population is parasitic and they don't want to fucking work. And whereas, okay, well, we're going to increase the land tax a little bit, and now all of a sudden rates of return drop from 9 to 8, deters a little bit of investors, go 8 to 7, deter a little bit more investors. When we got to raise land taxes so damn much because half the population is parasitic with their sociology degrees and make work government jobs, and I'm a depressed single mom, and I had 5 kids from 6 different fathers that I couldn't afford, they couldn't afford, whatever, all right? All of a sudden, you're jacking up these land tax values. And this has already happened. If you want to see, because we do have property taxes, go look at Detroit. Look at what happened to their tax value and look at the underlying value of the properties. The taxes got so high, people are like, we're done. We're not. And they're still so high on these properties. I think like it's even deterring people from going, oh, you could pick up a house in Detroit for a song, but do you want to pay the tax on it? And that is a perfect microcosmic example of what's going to happen modern day Georgism. Where if you're going to fund all of the government, 2/3 of which is the welfare state at state, federal, and local levels, right? And we're going to do this, UBI? You throw UBI on there? You damn right you're going to have to make money, Printer Cooper, because you would drive up land taxes so much that it wouldn't be profitable for anyone to go and put a factory there or improve the land or capital improvements if you want the technical economic finance term. And it's a cute idea, but every human pays, everybody pays taxes. Everybody. That's why I'm for a sales tax. Rich people buy expensive, pricey items. They'll pay more tax. Poor people go to the dollar store. I was there last night. You don't pay as much tax. We all pay taxes together. It's all the sales tax. You can buy land. You can do whatever you want with it. Legal. You can't kill people. Economics isn't that hard. I'm so ashamed that I even studied economics or once was an economics major, because you look at these blowhards, these bloviating, just blah, 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 blah. Dude, it's so simple. Create a system that is based on human laziness, human nature, and it will work. Let's see, if we take all the land and we have like, okay, what happens when the welfare state drives up the land tax to 3 times more than any possible profit could be generated out of that land? Oh, that wouldn't happen. Fine. Go do it. Go confiscate the land. See what happens. Ask Venezuela how that's going. think Ecuador did something similar. Was it Peru? Maybe it was Peru. All right, we got any super chats? Ryan Annis, $10 with the options nowadays. I think I'll just pay the tax. Oh God, I think I just threw up on my mouth a little. Never thought I'd say those words. You don't have a choice but to pay the tax. Okay, I don't mind paying taxes. Look, I'd even pay more taxes if we get rid of the income tax. So I have to spend 2 effing weeks of my days every year doing them. It'd just be so much simpler. And there'd be so many more benefits. It's like, you'd know what your revenues are, like day to day. Technically, we have the computing power. We could figure that out. Whoa, what's sales? Oh, sales tax coming in a little low. What's happening to the economy? Did Walmart not collect the sales tax? Somebody get on them. And then we'd have one price. Hey, the sales tax, the national sales tax is going to be about 25%. What? Well, you voted for all that free shit and the safety homes and the assistant reserve diversity directors, all 6 of them that work over at the DMV. You know, you guys voted because, like, we can't just have it's like porn stars. They just can't get enough things shoved up their ass. We need more diversity at not only the DMV, we need them at the we need 6 directors of diversity and inclusion at the library at $100,000 a pop. And that'll increase your taxes up to 27% of sales. Wait, but I don't want to pay. Too bad. You get to choose, you get to judge here. And you know what? I'm sure Henry George wants to know about equilibrium in pricing. You'll know what the price of government is real quick with a single sales tax. But ignore that economist who didn't say things that people wanted to hear. He's not fun. Why are you bringing down the times, man? All right, there you go. There's your Georgism. I'll see you guys later, Toodles.